The rain beat against the windows of Hollowcrest High, a relentless rhythm in the late hours. Principal Aiden Crow was deep in the school's basement, a place filled with forgotten memories and layers of dust. He was sorting through boxes that hadn't seen the light of day in decades, a thankless task he'd assigned himself. That's when he saw it, tucked away in the darkest corner. A small, iron filing cabinet, its surface scarred with rust. A heavy padlock secured it, and a single date was crudely painted on the front, 1925, the year Hollowcrest High first opened its doors. And the same year 20 students vanished without a trace. The local legend was a ghost story, a cautionary tale whispered by students in the hallways. But now, faced with this artifact, an intense curiosity took hold of Aiden. He found a crowbar, and with a groan of protesting metal, the old lock broke. Inside, the air smelled of decay and old paper. He pulled out brittle attendance sheets, disciplinary notes yellowed with age, and at the very bottom, a thin stack of yearbooks. The cover simply read, Hollowcrest High Inaugural Year. He carefully opened one, the pages crinkling like dry leaves. He saw the faces of the first students, stiff, formal portraits in black and white, their smiles captured for eternity. Names were written below in perfect looping cursive. Everything seemed ordinary, a snapshot of a bygone era. He flipped through, the faces of optimistic youths staring back at him. Then he reached the final page. His blood ran cold. There were 20 empty portrait boxes. Just blank white outlines where photos should have been. No names, no smiling faces. Just 20 empty spaces, a silent testament to the school's oldest and darkest mystery. The image haunted him all night. The next morning, fueled by a mixture of dread and obsession, he returned to the basement. He had to see it again to make sure his tired mind hadn't played tricks on him. He pulled the yearbook from the cabinet and opened it to that last chilling page. He gasped. It wasn't the same. One of the blank spaces was no longer empty. A face stared back at him, a boy with somber eyes and slicked back hair. A name was printed beneath, Thomas Miller. Aiden had memorized every student's name at Hollowcrest. There was no Thomas Miller. Heart pounding, he slammed the book shut, then hesitantly opened it again. The second portrait had appeared. A girl with a ribbon in her hair. Eleanor Finch. The week became a living nightmare. Each day, the yearbook changed. More faces appeared in the empty slots, their names materializing from the void. Histories were writing themselves into existence. Then the weirdness began to bleed into the real world. During the morning announcements, the cheerful voice of the school secretary crackled over the intercom. Congratulations to Eleanor Finch for winning the regional art competition. Aiden froze in his office. There was no Eleanor Finch. He sprinted to classroom 3B, the art room, and there she was. Sitting at an easel, a girl with pale skin and unnervingly dark eyes that didn't seem to blink. She just stared, her hands still. The students were appearing, not just in the book, but in the school. They were silent, motionless figures in the classrooms and hallways, their gazes always fixed on Principal Crow as he passed. They were there, but they weren't alive. One night, driven to the edge of his sanity, Aiden returned to the basement for the last time. He had to destroy the book, the cabinet, all of it. He fumbled with the files from 1925, his hands shaking. He noticed new pages had been added, their paper crisp and white against the yellowed originals. They were dated for the current week. They listed missing persons, current teachers who had called in sick and never returned, a math teacher, the janitor. Then he saw the news entry, the ink still looking wet. Name, Aiden Crow. Role, principal. Status, vanished. Next to his name was a blank portrait frame. As he stared in horror, faint lines began to appear within the box, sketching the curve of his own jaw, the shape of his terrified eyes drawn by an invisible hand. A soft scraping sound echoed from the shadows behind him, children's footsteps. He spun around. Standing at the edge of the light were the students from the yearbook, the lost class of 1925. Their smiles were too wide, their eyes hollow and empty. "We needed a new principal," one of them whispered, the voice a dry rustle of leaves. The heavy basement door slammed shut, plunging him into darkness. The next morning, a new portrait was complete in the 1925 yearbook. A man's face, his eyes wide with an eternity of terror. And in the hallways of Hollowcrest High, a new silent figure began its endless watch, joining the ghosts of the past. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like and subscribe for more chilling tailies.